The vast emptiness of space held its breath as the UES Adamant drifted through the Orion sector, its massive hull reflecting distant starlight like weathered steel. Captain Sarah Chen stood at her command station, dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed 3 Nexari warships shadowing her vessel from what they thought was a safe distance. Their sleek, crystalline ships sparkled with impossible technologies, making the Adamant look like a relic from a forgotten age. "They're broadcasting again, Captain," Lieutenant Marcus Rivera reported from his communications station, trying to mask his irritation. "More of the same. They're calling us primitive, suggesting we'd be better off using steam engines." A slight smile touched Sarah's lips as she watched the alien vessels maintain their arrogant formation. The Nexari were notorious for their technological superiority complex, believing their crystalline quantum ships represented the peak of space warfare evolution. They viewed the Adamant as little more than a curious antique, its traditional metal hull and apparent lack of energy signatures marking it as harmlessly obsolete. "Let them talk," Sarah replied, her voice carrying the quiet confidence of someone who knew something others didn't. She turned to her chief engineer, Dr. Maya Patel, who was monitoring a complex array of systems that shouldn't exist on such an obsolete vessel. "Status of the metamaterial coding." Maya's fingers danced across her holographic interface, her dark skin illuminated by the soft blue glow. "Perfect absorption rate, Captain. As far as their quantum sensors are concerned, we're just a big chunk of metal with basic fusion drives. They can't detect any of our actual systems." The Adamant represented humanity's greatest deception. While its exterior appeared crude and industrial, the ship housed technology that even the Nexari couldn't comprehend. Its hull contained billions of microscopic quantum processors that could adapt and respond to any form of attack. The vessel's apparent clumsiness was by design, a carefully crafted illusion that had taken years to perfect. Sarah watched as one of the Nexari ships ventured closer, probably for a better scan of what they assumed was primitive human engineering. Commander Jack Torres, her tactical officer, tensed at his station. "They're within optimal range, Captain. One word, and I can show them just how primitive our weapon systems are." "Not yet," Sarah said, maintaining her composure. "Let them get comfortable. Let them think they've got us figured out." She turned to address her bridge crew, seeing the same contained excitement in all their faces. They had trained for months for this moment, practicing the art of appearing vulnerable while harboring devastating capability. The Nexari's mockery continued to fill the communications channels, their translators converting their alien language into English. They called the Adamant a space turtle, joked about its prehistoric design, and wondered aloud if humans had discovered basic particle physics yet. Each insult was carefully logged, each arrogant assumption noted. "They're deploying scanning drones," Rivera reported, monitoring the small crystalline objects that emerged from the nearest Nexari vessel. "Should we swat them away?" Sarah shook her head, her black hair catching the light from the bridge's ambient illumination. "Let them scan. They'll only see what we want them to see." She turned to Maya. "How's our little surprise package coming along?" The engineer's grin was almost predatory. "The quantum virus is ready, Captain. The moment they try to access any of our systems through those drones, it'll piggyback on their scanning beams. They'll be too busy laughing at our primitive firewalls to notice until it's too late." The bridge crew maintained their positions with practiced patience as the Nexari drones surrounded their ship. To the aliens, the Adamant must have looked like a perfect target. A sluggish, outdated vessel that represented everything they mockingly dismissed about human technology. They had no way of knowing that every scan they performed, every derisive message they sent, was bringing them closer to a trap centuries in the making. Sarah allowed herself a moment to appreciate the irony. Humanity had learned early in its spacefaring history that appearing weak could be the greatest strength. While other species raced to display their technological achievements, humans had taken a different approach. They had developed in secret, hiding their true capabilities behind a carefully maintained facade of technological inadequacy. "Captain," Rivera called out, his voice tight with anticipation. "They're positioning for an encirclement. Their command ship is broadcasting a demand for our surrender. They're saying—" He paused, listening to the translation. "They're saying they'll tow us to the nearest human ports, since our primitive engines must be struggling." A quiet chuckle rippled through the bridge. Sarah straightened in her chair, her expression hardening into one of calm determination. The Nexeri had taken the bait, positioning themselves exactly where she wanted them. They thought they were springing a trap on a helpless human vessel. Instead, they had maneuvered themselves into a killing zone of their own making. "Well," Sarah said, her voice carrying a hint of anticipation, "I suppose it's time to educate our friends about the danger of judging a book by its cover." She glanced at her crew, seeing the ready determination in their eyes. The adamant might look slow and outdated, but appearances, as the Nexeri were about to learn, could be deceiving. The Nexeri command ship's crystalline hull pulsed with arrogant confidence as it moved to complete the encirclement of the adamant. Their formation was textbook perfect. 3 advanced warships positioning themselves to trap what they perceived as primitive prey. Captain Sarah Chen watched the tactical display with growing satisfaction as the alien vessels unknowingly sealed their own fate. "Their quantum scanning drones are attempting a deep penetration scan," Maya reported from her engineering station, her fingers moving across multiple holographic interfaces. "They're trying to map our internal systems." A smile played across her face, feeding them exactly what they expect to see. The adamant's deception systems were Maya's masterpiece. Layer upon layer of false signatures and carefully crafted energy patterns painted a picture of an outdated vessel barely holding together. The Nexeri saw ancient fusion reactors, basic shield generators, and weapon systems that belonged in a museum. The truth lay beneath this elaborate masquerade, hidden behind quantum camouflage that had taken humanity decades to perfect. "They're hailing us again," Rivera announced, his voice carrying a note of contained amusement. "Their commander wants to speak directly." Sarah nodded, straightening in her command chair. "Put them through. Let's hear what they have to say." The bridge's main view screen flickered to life, revealing the alien commander. The Nexeri's crystalline-based biology gave them a translucent, almost ethereal appearance. Their commander's body sparkled with internal light patterns that humans had learned to recognize as expressions of smug superiority. "Human vessel." The Nexeri commander's translated voice carried artificial sweetness. "Your presence in this sector violates our territorial claims. However, we are feeling merciful today. Power down your antiquated systems, and we will escort you back to your space. We wouldn't want your quaint vessel to suffer any unfortunate accidents." Sarah's response was measured, carefully calibrated to reinforce the Nexeri's assumptions. "Our engines are operating at peak efficiency, Commander. We're well within our rights under the Orion Accords to traverse this sector." The Nexeri commander's crystalline form flickered with patterns of amusement. "The Orion Accords. Your species barely understands basic space travel. We've observed your vessel's capabilities, or rather, lack thereof. You're operating technology that we outgrew centuries ago. This is your final warning. Submit to our authority, or we will be forced to demonstrate true technological superiority." Commander Torres leaned closer to Sarah, speaking in a low voice. "The virus has penetrated their defensive networks through the scanning drones. We can shut down their primary systems whenever you give the word." Sarah gave an almost imperceptible nod, then addressed the Nexeri commander again. "Perhaps we could discuss this situation more diplomatically. Our ship may not be as advanced as yours, but we mean no harm." The Nexeri's crystalline body pulsed with patterns of derision. "Diplomacy. With primitives who still rely on metal hulls and fusion power, your species is barely out of its cosmic infancy. Allow us to demonstrate how real space combat works." The alien vessels began charging their weapon systems, their crystalline hulls resonating with building energy. To their sensors, the adamant remained a defenseless target. Its outdated shields no match for their advanced weaponry. They're powering up quantum disruptors, Torres reported calmly. Their targeting systems are locked on our engine section, where they think our primitive fusion reactors are located. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Maya, how long until their systems are completely compromised? The virus has already mapped their entire command network, Maya replied, her fingers dancing across her console. I can trigger a cascade failure through their quantum matrices whenever you're ready. They won't know what hit them. The Nexari commander's voice came through again, tripping with condescension. Your sensors must be truly primitive if you haven't fled yet. Perhaps they can't even detect the weapons we've brought to bear. Allow us to educate you on the price of trespassing in advanced civilization space. Sarah rose from her command chair, her movement deliberate and calm. You know, Commander, humanity learned something important early in its history. She paused, watching as the alien vessels positioned themselves for what they thought would be an easy victory. The best weapon is the one your enemy doesn't believe you have. The Nexari commander's crystalline form pulsed with confusion. What primitive human nonsense is this? Maya. Sarah's voice carried quiet authority. Show them what a primitive human ship can really do. In an instant, the Adaman's carefully maintained illusion of technological inferiority shattered. The quantum virus that had piggybacked on the Nexari's own scanning beams activated, spreading through their supposedly superior systems like digital wildfire. Their crystalline hulls, moments ago pulsing with weapon energy, suddenly darkened as critical systems began to fail. The Nexari commander's image flickered as their communication systems struggled. What is this? How are you doing this? Your technology. It's impossible. Impossible. Sarah's voice carried a hint of steel. Commander, you're about to learn why it's dangerous to underestimate humanity. We don't need to show off our technology to prove its worth. In fact, she smiled as the alien ships began to drift powerless in space. Sometimes the best strategy is to let others believe they're superior. Right. Until the moment they learned otherwise. Panic spread through the Nexari fleet like a shockwave as their systems continued to fail. Their crystalline ships, once gleaming with superior technology, now drifted in space as the quantum virus systematically dismantled their defenses. The Adaman's plain metal hull began to shift, its surface rippling like liquid mercury as the metamaterial coating reconfigured itself. All Nexari ships are experiencing critical system failures, Torres reported, his tactical display showing the cascade of shutdowns spreading through the alien vessels. Their quantum matrices are completely compromised. Should we proceed with Phase 2? Captain Chen studied the tactical display, watching as the Nexari desperately attempted to purge the virus from their systems. Maya, status of their backup systems. They're trying to switch to their emergency quantum cores, Maya replied, her fingers flying across her holographic controls. But our virus has already infected those too. They're completely blind and defenseless. The Nexari commander's image flickered back to life on the main screen, their crystalline form pulsing with a mixture of fear and rage. What sorcery is this? Your primitive systems couldn't possibly. Primitive. Sarah interrupted, her voice carrying a note of amusement. I think it's time we had a proper demonstration of human engineering. She nodded to Torres. Deploy the quantum arrays. Let's show them what we've been hiding. The Adaman's hull continued its transformation as hidden weapon ports emerged from what appeared to be solid metal. The ship's true form began to take shape, a masterpiece of human engineering that had been concealed beneath layers of technological camouflage. Panels shifted, revealing advanced energy weapons that the Nexari had never seen before. Impossible. The Nexari commander's translated voice cracked with disbelief. Those weapon signatures, they're beyond anything in our database. You see, Commander, Sarah explained, walking closer to the view screen. While you were busy showcasing your technological superiority, humanity was quietly advancing in ways you never imagined. We learned early that true power lies not in showing off our capabilities, but in carefully choosing when to reveal them. Maya's console lit up with new data. Captain, they're attempting to transmit a distress signal through their quantum entanglement network. Should I block it? No, Sarah replied with a slight smile. Let them call for help. It's time the galaxy learned what humanity is truly capable of. She turned to Taurus. Target their weapons and propulsion systems. Disable, don't destroy. The Adaman's weapons came to life, firing precise bursts of energy that the Nexeri had never encountered before. Each shot passed straight through their supposedly impenetrable shields, disrupting their crystalline technology with surgical precision. The alien ships, once so proud and powerful, now hung helpless in space. What are you? The Nexeri commander's voice trembled. This level of technology, it shouldn't be possible for your species. Sarah's expression remained calm but carried a hint of steel. We're human, Commander. We've spent centuries being underestimated by species like yours. You saw our metal hulls and assumed we were primitive. You never stopped to consider that perhaps we chose to appear that way. The Adaman's true form was now fully revealed, a masterpiece of human engineering that combined quantum technology with innovations the Nexeri couldn't comprehend. Its hull gleamed with an otherworldly sheen, covered in patterns that seemed to bend light itself. You know what the truly ironic part is, Commander. Sarah continued, watching as the alien ships drifted powerlessly. Everything you mocked about our ship, our metal hull, our seemingly basic systems, they're all part of technologies far beyond your understanding. We didn't build the Adamant to show off. We built it to win. Maya's voice cut through the tension. Captain, I'm detecting multiple quantum signatures. Looks like the Nexeri reinforcements are arriving. Sarah nodded, unsurprised. Good. Let them come. It's time they all learned why humanity chose to hide its strength for so long. She turned to her crew, seeing the pride and determination in their faces. Battle stations, everyone. Let's show the galaxy what happens when they underestimate Earth. The space around them began to ripple as more Nexeri ships emerged from quantum space, their crystalline hulls glowing with power. But this time, there was hesitation in their approach. The sight of their disabled comrades and the transformed Adamant gave them pause. Your entire species will pay for this deception, the Nexeri commander threatened, though their voice lacked its former confidence. Sarah's response was calm but carried absolute conviction. No, Commander. Today, your species and every other advanced civilization will learn something crucial about humanity. We don't need to boast about our power to prove our worth. We don't need crystal ships or showy technology to be strong. What we need is exactly what we have: the wisdom to wait for the right moment, and the strength to act decisively when that moment comes. The void of space lit up as 12 more Nexeri warships emerged from quantum space, their crystalline hulls blazing with barely contained energy. They formed a precise attack pattern around the Adamant, their weapons charging. But there was hesitation in their movements now, uncertainty in their positioning. The disabled ships of their comrades drifted between them like a warning. New contacts are holding position at maximum weapons range, Torres reported, his tactical display tracking each vessel. They're being cautious, very un-Nexeri-like behavior. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Nothing makes an enemy more cautious than watching their superior technology fail. She turned to Maya. Status of our systems. All combat systems are operating at peak efficiency, Maya replied, her hands dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. The metamaterial coding is fully reconfigured for combat. Our true shield grid is ready. The lead ship of the Nexeri reinforcements broadcast on all frequencies, their message translated in real time. Human vessel, you have committed an act of war against the Nexeri Federation. Surrender immediately or face annihilation. Sarah's response was measured but firm. Your ships attacked us first, after mocking and underestimating us. We defended ourselves. I suggest you consider your next actions very carefully. You dare threaten us. The Nexeri commander's voice crackled with rage. We are the most technologically advanced species in this sector. Your primitive deceptions cannot protect you against our combined fleet. Maya, Sarah said calmly, initiate the quantum field demonstration. The space around the adamant began to distort as previously invisible energy fields came to life. Complex patterns of force and energy spread outward like a web, far more sophisticated than anything the Nexeri had encountered before. Their sensors, designed to detect and analyze advanced technology, were overwhelmed by the complexity of what they were seeing. Impossible readings from the human vessel, they heard the Nexeri ships communicating among themselves. Their energy signatures are, we can't classify them. Nothing in our database matches these patterns. You know, Sarah addressed the Nexeri fleet. Humanity has spent centuries studying your species and others like you. We watched as you flaunted your technology, showcased your power, and looked down on those you considered inferior. And all that time, we were learning, advancing, and preparing. The Adamant's hull shimmered as new systems came online. Weapon ports that even the Nexeri reinforcements couldn't detect opened across its surface. The ship's apparent size began to fluctuate as spatial distortion fields activated. Their ship, one of the Nexeri commanders, transmitted its changing configuration again. How are they doing this? The metal shouldn't be able to. That's your first mistake, Sarah interrupted. Assuming you know what our materials can and cannot do. Humanity has developed technologies that work with principles your species hasn't even discovered yet. We simply chose not to reveal them until necessary. Taurus's tactical display lit up with warnings. They're preparing to fire, Captain. All ships are charging their primary quantum disruptors. Let them, Sarah replied, her voice steady. Maya, activate the mirror field. The space around the adamant seemed to crystallize as layers of quantum fields interlocked. The Nexeri fleet opened fire, their most powerful weapons launching streams of destructive energy at the human vessel. But as the beams reached the adamant's defense field, something unprecedented happened. They stopped, turned, and reversed course. Chaos erupted among the Nexeri ships as their own weapons' fire returned to them, bypassing their shields as if they weren't there. Multiple vessels took direct hits, their crystalline hulls cracking under impacts they had never designed defenses against. How? The Nexeri commander's voice shook with disbelief. Our weapons, you turned them against us. That's beyond even theoretical physics. No, Sarah corrected. It's beyond your theoretical physics. Humanity has understood these principles for generations. We just never had a reason to demonstrate them until now. The adamant moved with sudden, fluid grace, all pretense of being slow and cumbersome gone. It slipped between the Nexeri vessels like water through a sieve, its weapons firing with precise, devastating effect. Each shot disabled key systems without destroying the ships themselves, demonstrating a level of control that the Nexeri had thought impossible. Captain, Rivera called out from his communication station. I'm picking up quantum transmissions from the Nexeri fleet to their high command. There, he paused, listening carefully. They're requesting immediate withdrawal authorization. They're saying we're too dangerous to engage. Sarah nodded, satisfied. Let them run. Let them tell others what they've seen here today. It's time the galaxy understood that humanity's apparent technological limitations were a choice, not a reality. The Nexeri fleet, or what remained of its combat capability, began to retreat. Their once proud formation was now scattered, their confidence shattered by the revelation of human technological superiority. As they prepared to jump to quantum space, the adamant sensors detected scattered communications between their ships. The humans, one transmission read, they've been watching us, learning from us, all this time. How many other secrets are they hiding? How many other species are doing the same? Sarah watched them go, knowing that this encounter would change the balance of power in the galaxy. The age of humanity hiding its true capabilities was over. Now began a new era, one where the galaxy would have to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about Earth and its people. 3 days after the encounter with the Nexari fleet, the UES Adamant maintained position at the edge of the disputed sector. Captain Sarah Chen stood in her ready room, watching recordings of emergency sessions from various galactic councils as they grappled with the implications of humanity's revealed capabilities. "The diplomatic channels are exploding," Rivera reported, scrolling through an endless stream of incoming messages. "Every major species in the sector is demanding explanations, trying to understand how long we've been concealing our true technological level." Sarah studied a holographic display showing the ripple effects of their encounter spreading across known space. The Nexari's humbling defeat had shattered centuries of established assumptions about technological hierarchies among spacefaring races. "Maya," she called over the ship's comm, "how are the analysis reports coming?" "Fascinating reading, Captain." Maya's voice carried barely contained excitement. "The Nexari's quantum scanning attempts gave us unprecedented access to their technological database. They've been so focused on developing crystal-based systems that they completely missed dozens of potential technological paths. Their rigid thinking made them predictable." The door chimed, and Commander Torres entered with a security update. "The Nexari have withdrawn all forces from the disputed sectors. They're claiming it's a tactical repositioning, but everyone knows they're retreating. More importantly, 3 other species have reached out through back channels, hoping to establish new diplomatic relations with Earth." Sarah nodded, unsurprised. "They're realizing that technological advancement doesn't always mean obvious displays of power. How many other primitive species might be hiding similar capabilities? That's the beauty of it," Maya added, joining them in the ready room. "Our strategy of apparent technological inferiority didn't just protect our developments. It forced other species to underestimate everyone they considered primitive. They're now questioning every assumption they've made about technological progression." The room's holographic display shifted to show various alien news broadcasts. Species across the galaxy were debating the implications of humanity's revelation. Some expressed outrage at the deception, others admiration for the strategy, but all shared a common thread of uncertainty about their place in the galactic hierarchy. "Captain," Rivera called from his station, "incoming transmission from Earth Command. Priority 1. The holographic display cleared, revealing Admiral James Chen, Sarah's father and one of the architects of humanity's long-term technological strategy. His weathered face bore a proud smile. "Well done, Captain," he said, his voice carrying both professional approval and paternal pride. "The Adamant's demonstration has accomplished in 3 days what we hoped to achieve over 3 years. The galaxy's power structure is rebalancing itself." Sarah stood at attention, but allowed herself a small smile. "The Nexari gave us the perfect opportunity, Admiral. Their arrogance made them ideal candidates for the revelation." "Indeed," the Admiral agreed, "but the real work begins now. The Nexari's defeat has created a power vacuum, and multiple species are scrambling to reposition themselves. Some are revealing their own hidden capabilities, while others are desperately trying to forge new alliances. A cascade effect," Sarah mused, "just as we predicted. When one species admits to hiding their true capabilities, others follow suit," the Admiral finished. "We've already received communications from the Veldari. Apparently, they've been concealing some interesting developments in biosynthetic technology. The Corrections have also hinted at breakthrough in dimensional physics." Maya's eyes widened at this information. The supposedly primitive Corrections, the ones the Nexari classified as barely spacefaring. "Exactly," Admiral Chen smiled. "It seems humanity wasn't the only species to recognize the advantages of apparent technological inferiority. We're now entering an era where the true balance of power in the galaxy will emerge." Sarah considered the implications. The age of technological deception is ending, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of one species dominating, we're discovering that many of us have been advancing in secret, taking different paths to similar endpoints. "Which is why your next mission is crucial, Captain." The Admiral's expression turned serious. The Adamant will serve as humanity's flagship in a series of diplomatic missions. Many species want to establish new relationships now that the pretense of technological hierarchy is crumbling. They're especially interested in your metamaterial hull technology. They can be interested all they want, Maya interjected with a grin. They still won't be able to scan it properly. The Admiral's laugh carried through the transmission. Keep some secrets, by all means. But it's time for humanity to take its place openly among the stars. The Adamant proved that true strength lies not in displaying power, but in choosing when and how to reveal it. Sarah looked out at the stars, thinking about the changes their revelation had set in motion. The galaxy was transforming, old power structures crumbling as hidden capabilities came to light. Humanity had played its part in starting this change, but now they would help guide it toward a more balanced future. Helm, she called, returning to the bridge, set course for the Galactic Council headquarters. It's time for humanity to help shape the new order we've helped create. She smiled at her crew, seeing the pride and determination in their faces. After all, we've spent centuries preparing for this moment. Let's show them what humanity can really do when we don't have to hide anymore. The Adamant's engines hummed to life, its hull shimmering with unhidden power as it moved toward its new mission. Behind it, the stars seemed to shine brighter, illuminating a galaxy where the old hierarchies were falling away, replaced by a new understanding that true advancement came not from displaying power, but from wielding it wisely.